Welcome everyone to CSEP, City Services and Environmental Policy Committee. I'll read the notice and then go through some housekeeping for tonight before we start the public testimony. Board of Alders notice, New Haven. The City Services and Environmental Policy Committee of the Board of Alders will meet on Zoom. To click or tap to enter a date. I think this is written incorrectly, but I will correct it. The City Services and Environmental Policy Committee of the Board of Alders will meet on August 6th at 6 p.m. via video conference at https://bit.ly/2bfoy9k and by phone at 646-558-8656, webinar ID 958-1225-3991 to hear and act on the following items. LM 2020-0276, resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders declaring the second Monday in October Italian Heritage Day in perpetuity. Per order, Honorable Anna M. Festa, Chair. Attest, Honorable Michael Smart, City Clerk. These items are on file and available in the Office of the City Clerk, Room 202 at 200 Orange Street, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510. For accessibility related accommodations, please call 203-946-7833V or 203-946-8582 TTY TDD. Public comment testimony may also be submitted via email to publictestimony@newhavenct.gov before 2 p.m. on the day of the meeting. If you wish to present testimony at the meeting, you must register in advance at https://bit.ly/2bfoy9k or by calling 203-946-7934 before 2 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Public can view the meeting at https://bit.ly/2bfoy9k or listen by phone at 646-558-8656, webinar ID 958-1225-3991. For the required password, contact publictestimony@newhavenct.gov. Welcome everyone. I just want to take care of some housekeeping before we begin with the public testimony. I am going to ask everyone, first of all, to try and keep their testimony to 5 minutes. I am also asking everyone to stay on topic of this resolution, which is to declare the second Monday Italian Heritage Day. That is what we are discussing this evening, so please stay on that topic. And I ask that everyone please be respectful toward each other, whether you agree with them or not. With that being said, I will probably send little reminders in between if need be, in case we have the public that is late in getting on the Zoom meeting. This evening, we welcome my committee, which I will have each of them introduce themselves, starting with the Vice Chair.
Sal DiCola, Ward 18, Vice Chair.
Alder Antunes.
Gerald Antunes, Ward 12.
Alder Raw.
Abby Roth, Ward 7.
Alder Winter. Alder Singh.
Campton Singh, Alder, Ward 5.
And Alder Smith.
Honda Smith, Ward 30.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. I want to start off by recognizing some folks that are on the line. We do have Congresswoman Rosa DeLaura on the line, and she will start with the public testimony. Before I have her speak, I do want to recognize Representative Al Pillo, who is listening in this evening, looking for what the public has to say. As you're all aware, he's been a big supporter of the Italian American community. His grandfather came over from Italy, and welcome Representative Pillo. This evening, the Honorable Rosa DeLaura is with us. Her family is of Italian heritage, and my personal opinion is they helped put Italians in the forefront of political activism in support of Italian immigrants here in the city of New Haven. Her father served as a city alder, and her mom, Louisa, was the longest serving alder in this city for 30 years. And being someone who sits on this board in my 8th year, God bless her, because it is a tough job. And that is something we should all be proud of. So welcome, Congresswoman DeLaura. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. I always describe my mom as an equal opportunity and antagonist to every mayor of the city of New Haven. She gave everybody trouble. So, but unbelievably devoted to her community and to the city, as was my dad. And I thank you so much. It's such an honor for me to be with you. To you, Honorable Chairwoman Anna Festa, to the Vice Chairs, Salvatore DeCola, the City Town Clerk Michael Smart, the other members of the City Services and Environmental Policy Committee. My name is Rosa DeLaura. I am the U.S. Representative for the 3rd Congressional District of Connecticut. I thank you for allowing me to testify this evening in support of LM 2020-0276, resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders declaring the 2nd Monday in October Italian Heritage Day in perpetuity. I come to this position with my deep-rooted history in the Worcester Square and in the Italian American community. My father came to New Haven from Italy as a young man. He was filled with hopes and dreams, but he could not speak the English language nor write it. Laughed at, he left school because of that language barrier. And despite the lack of a formal education, he would go on to fight for his country, his community, and for the Italian language to be taught in New Haven's public schools. My mother worked in the sweatshops of New Haven, doing piecework, hunched over a sewing machine, pumping out dresses as fast as she could. In 1957, when I was barely a teenager, the Franklin Street fire in a dress factory down the street from us claimed the lives of 15 people, mostly Italian immigrants. We worked to survive. My parents stood in front of bulldozers to save our neighborhood from the elite plans for urban renewal. Italians arrived in this country with a foreign language, many with a darker skin and the Catholic faith. Domestic workers looking for employment would find ads warning, and I quote, "Catholics need not apply." So once here, new arrivals had to stick together. The reality of American life was often harsh, the discrimination deep, challenging, and hurtful. Our ancestors immigrated from Amalfi, from Scafati, Minodi, and Maiodi in search of the promise of opportunity. And when they arrived, they rejected old world ideas about privilege and power. They challenged the prejudice they faced in their new American home. And they founded the community organizations on whose shoulders we stand today. St. Trofimina, St. Catello, the Society of Maria Maddalena, St. Andrew, and the Santa Maria della Vergine. Ours was a community that faced intolerance and discrimination. Our hard work, faith, family, and strong community helped each generation succeed. And we never forget that America is an immigrant country. I attended and spoke at nearly every Columbus Day dinner before and after being elected to the United States Congress. I sometimes spoke of Columbus's navigation skills, but my speeches were about the Italian American immigrant experience. I reminded people that America is a nation of immigrants and that our ancestors would not have been able to come if the Trump administration's refugee and immigration policies were in place at that time. Like many Italian Americans, I celebrate what my family taught me, the values they passed on, and the sacrifices they made. It is that history and values I take with me in fighting the battles I do in the House of Representatives, in fighting the separation of children from their parents at the border. So on the holiday Italian Heritage Day, we are celebrating the accomplishments of those of Italian descent. We are celebrating our parents, our grandparents, and their contributions to our lives, our heritage, and our country. None of our celebrations of Christopher Columbus were celebrations of the conquest of the Americas or the triumph of colonialism over native populations. America has to address that history too. I believe we must become more conscious of what happened to indigenous populations in the Americas, New England, and across the country throughout its founding. I believe that struggle must be recognized by holidays and monuments, and I favor an Indigenous Peoples Day. I oppose moves anywhere to substitute Indigenous Peoples Day for Columbus Day. That makes Italian Americans invisible again and disrespects my history. And today, I am proud of my community that is focused on our real history, affirmed in this holiday of Italian Heritage Day. And soon a statue commemorating the Italian American immigrant experience and an America that welcomes all immigrants. I thank you once again for the opportunity to testify before this committee and have the highest regard for the work that you all do in governing the city of New Haven. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. My mom reminds me all the time, she's from Italy, on how she worked with your mom in that dress shop.
And those dress shops, right?
State and Chapel.
State and Chapel Street, you've got it, that's right.
Yep. And she reminds me all the time on how she worked with your mom. And
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for being here this evening. I hope you can stay and
I
listen
will.
to the public
Yes.
for a little bit.
Sure.
And again, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Misty, I'm going to open it up to the public at this point. So if we have a list of folks, but before we do that, I recognize our majority leader has joined us, Richard Furlow. Thank you for being here this evening, majority leader. So Misty, if we have a list of participants that are ready to testify, we can open it up.
We don't have a list, but if they can raise their hand, I'd be glad to promote them so they could speak.
Okay, perfect. So for those of you from the public that would like to speak, there is a button. I'm not sure on your device how it would appear, but there is a raise hand button. And I do see a hand up from Mr. Criscolo. Is he on? Mr. Paul Criscolo, if you can unmute yourself, the floor is yours. And once you do so, if you could state your name and address for the record.
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. My name is Paul Criscolo. My address is number 110 Damascus Road, Branford, Connecticut. And I appreciate the opportunity to address this group. The resolution before your committee declaring the second Monday in October as Italian Heritage Day deserves your acceptance and enthusiastic support. My name is Paul Criscolo, New Haven native and president of the St. Catello Society. a religious society organized on November 3rd, 1901, right here in New Haven, honoring Saint Catello, an Italian bishop and patron saint of the city of Castellamare di Stabia in Italy.
How you doing?
Castellamare is a city on the Bay of Naples that was a prosperous business center since the early Roman Empire days. And along with Pompeii and Herculaneum, was buried in the famous Vesuvius eruption of August 24th, 79 AD. The St. Catello Society was founded by immigrants to New Haven from Castellamare and prospers to this day. With its home base in New Haven, the society has members across the region, and from as far away as California, Florida, Costa Rica, and even Italy. Our members have achieved great success in many fields of endeavor, from doctors, judges, lawyers, civil servants, politicians, contractors, factory workers, farmers, and common laborers. Our members have helped build the city of New Haven and the surrounding communities into what they are today. Our membership has been growing over the last number of years to over 200. We have strived to reach our young people while showing them the significance of our traditions, history, and heritage. This is as important today as it was in 1901. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, my dad were all members of the St. Catello Society. Now my grandchildren have become members, making 5 generations of my family in this society, and this is mirrored in many families throughout our membership. From the society's early days, when the majority of its members occupied neighborhoods of Jocelyn Square, Hamilton, East and Wallace Street, all the way to Worcester Street and Worcester Square, the society has demonstrated the resolve and farsightedness of its members. Their family, their church, their traditions and heritage were the most important parts of their lives. These same values are even more prevalent today. It's still so very important for us to remember our ancestors' traditions and heritage. We make for stronger today by recognizing and learning from our most precious past. Thank you, the Board of Alders and this committee, for your consideration in this important legislation. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Criscolo. I know that the societies that San Catello also represents, the Southern Italian religious societies, played a key role in helping a lot of the immigrants that came to this country. So thank you for your testimony. Before I continue with the public testimony, I would like to acknowledge some other alders that have joined the meeting. Alder Rosa Santana, Alder Jody Ortiz, and Alder Steve Winter. Thank you for joining us this evening. Next on the list is Mrs. Laura Luzzy. If you could state your name and address for the record, that would be appreciated, and you will need to unmute yourself. Thank you. You're still on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, it's Laura Florio Luzzy, 1233 Dunbar Hill Road, Hamden, Connecticut.
Go ahead.
To the City Services and Environmental Policy Committee. I am kindly asking and strongly in favor of the City Services and Environmental Policy Committee to declare the second Monday in October Italian Heritage Day. This day has been celebrated in New Haven my entire life and has been a symbol of the pride in the Italian community and all who recognize the contributions the Italians have made to our great country. My name is Laura Florio Luzzy, a New Haven native and chairwoman of the Columbus Day Committee of Greater New Haven, as well as a member of the St. Andrew's Ladies Society. I take great pride that my mom, Antoinette Amor Florio, was born on Worcester Street and grew up on Brown Street in New Haven. As a young child, I would visit my grandparents and my nanny, walking the streets and enjoying the delicious scent infiltrated from the bakeries and restaurants. One of the most important memory and traditions that was instilled in me was the importance of faith, my heritage, and family traditions. I believe the sacrifices of our parents and grandparents who endured the hardships coming to America so that their children can endure and prosper is something to respect and never to be forgotten. In the end, the values of being an Italian American and to assure the hardships that greeted our ancestors no longer exist. Rather, make our community a place of welcome and an opportunity for all people. In closing, I thank the Board of Alders on this committee for your support and considerations regarding this most important resolution. Thank you this evening for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
The next person to speak is Mr. Frank Carano. If you could unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record, that would be appreciated. And then the floor is yours.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before this committee. My name is Frank Carano. I live at 90 Quarry Dock Road in Branford. I was born and raised at 460 Chapel Street in New Haven in Worcester Square to parents who immigrated to this country from Amalfi, Italy. So I'm a first generation American, but I'm also a very proud Italian American, proud of my heritage and proud of everything that I believe the Italian American culture has brought to this country. So in New Haven, for instance, the Worcester Square area where I grew up and which I write about in a monthly column for the New Haven Register is really the epicenter of the Italian American experience here in the New World. The people who came to Worcester Square and settled there, worked, became part of a tight-knit community that supported each other and that took pride in their heritage and their customs. And if you walk down Worcester Street, even today, in spite of the fact that the neighborhood was decimated through the urban renewal projects of the 60s, you will still see examples of that heritage that they established there through the world famous pizza restaurants that people come from far and wide to experience New Haven pizza. So, the question before you is, why should you do this? Why should there be an Italian Heritage Day celebrated in New Haven? I think there should be an Italian Heritage Day celebrated in New Haven because the experience of all those Italian Americans who came to New Haven is evident throughout the city, and all of the work that they brought to their lives as workers in all of the factories and the industries of New Haven helped develop New Haven into the manufacturing center that it became at the turn of the 20th century. So Columbus Day has been celebrated since 1934 And when Columbus Day was first established, you know, it was a simpler world, and people looked to find a way to take pride in their heritage, and they looked at Columbus as that person. We now look at things differently, perhaps a little wiser and perhaps with a little more information, but it doesn't deny the fact that there is still much to be proud of, and that we hope that those of you who live in New Haven now will be willing to recognize that the contributions of that group of people over the time living in New Haven, in particular Worcester Square, there were Italian groups that settled in the Hill, that settled in Fairhaven. They were really throughout the city. I just happen to know and love Worcester Square more than the others because that's where I grew up. So I really hope that you agree with us, the speakers who preceded me, and probably those who will follow me, that it is really the right thing to do, that the second Monday in October should be known and celebrated as Italian Heritage Day in New Haven. All of us who take pride in our heritage would be very grateful and thankful to all of you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carano, taking the time to testify this evening. Misty, do we have any other hands up? I don't see any other hands up. Again, if you have come in late into the Zoom meeting, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand. There is a button on your device that will allow you to raise your hand, and I will call on you. I'll just give that a few seconds.
Mr. Iavani.
At this point, I will open it up to the public. So if there is anybody that would like to speak, please raise your hand so we know and can let you in the room.
Iavani did raise his hand.
Oh, is it on here? Okay. Is he in?
I'm attempting to unmute.
Okay, you're unmuted.
Am I unmuted now? I'm still showing the mute sign on my computer.
We can hear you. Please state your name and address for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Okay, my name is Michael A. Pimiani, 555 Townsend Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. I'm a former New Haven police officer, former president of the Santa Maria Maddalena Society, a member of the New Haven Police Order of Centurions, and a member of the Bonamici Club. I did submit my testimony via email, but I do feel obligated to read it to the entire committee. As a lifelong New Haven resident, I urge the city of New Haven to enact legislation declaring the second Monday of October as an Italian Heritage Day. The Italian community has contributed much to not only the city of New Haven, but to the state and our great country. Due to the emotional climate of eliminating the symbol of our Italian heritage, it seems there is also a move to eliminate any recognition of the contributions of Italian Americans. To do such would be a travesty and a great injustice to the sacrifices and contributions of our Italian American community. The Italian American community in this city is a loving and caring people who contribute much to all. We are public servants who help and advocate for many. We are clergy, medical workers, politicians, and everyday people contributing to our wonderful society. I urge the city of New Haven to declare the second Monday of October as Italian Heritage Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fumiani, for your testimony. We have next on the list, Mr. Frank Gargano. Mr. Gargano, if you could unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please.
Am I unmuted?
Yes,
Hello?
you are. Yes, you're all set.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Gargano. My address is 72 Pope Street, New Haven, Connecticut. I am and have been for the past 22 years president of St. Andrew Society. We are located at 515 Chapel Street in New Haven. We have been in existence since November of 1900. Without overdoing it and without repeating what my colleagues already said, we too are one of the members of SIRS, the Southern Italian Religious Societies, which is based in St. Michael's Church, which is the cornerstone of Worcester Square, which is the oldest Italian Catholic church in the state of Connecticut. I applaud your committee for making this resolution on naming the day in October as Italian Heritage Day. I would only like to say, in addition to what Paul and Frank and Mike Fumiani said, we are still a good part of the New Haven Italian American heritage every year, except for this year. We celebrate our annual festa in Worcester Square, where for 4 nights we have Italian entertainment, and we are proud to show our Italian heritage from the city of Amalfi in Italy. And I would just like to say again, I reiterate what my colleagues said, and I applaud your decision to make this day Italian Heritage Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gargano, for your testimony. As I mentioned before, the societies did play a key role in Italian migration here in the city of New Haven, with St. Andrew Society being right there along with St. Michael's and guiding our immigrants with finding jobs and housing. And thank you for that reminder. We do have
That's Ms. Rosabo. You're muted, Madam Chair. You're muted.
Yes, I am. And I bet you all like me being muted. We have next is Cindy Rosabo. State your name and address for the record, please, and the floor is yours. Are you unmuted, Mr. Zarbo?
It looks like she lost her connection.
Okay. Well, we'll wait for her to get on. While we're waiting, is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak in regard to the item before us? I do see Alder Santana's hand up. So while we wait, the floor is yours, Alder.
Thank you very much for all the testimony this evening. It's been wonderful hearing such wonderful remarks from all of our people, from all people, from the public. And it is the courageous sacrifices that we all made as Italians coming over. I was born in Italy. I came here when I was 18 months old. And for me, that's significant for me to be able to cherish a holiday in retrospect because of all the sacrifices. My mom and my dad came here with nothing. They had their clothes on their back and family that helped them through the challenges as they got here. So I know the sacrifices. I know my godmother lives on Worcester Street. Her parents lived on Worcester Street. Her sister still lives on Worcester Street. And the Majorano family were very close to my family. So I am in favor of supporting this Heritage Day. And I would hope that all people from throughout New Haven and others join in our celebration as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alder Santana, for your sentiments. Do we have anyone else from the public that would like to speak?
Why do you always call me at 10 o'clock, bro?
What was that, Al?
No, I think you're good. I don't see Muzzy raise her hand again. Let's find out what's going on.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to let you know that Cindy Rosabo just lost power, and that's not testify.
Okay.
She wanted to let the board know that. I just got a text from her.
Well, I appreciate that. And she is welcome to still submit written testimony if she would like to. It is not too late to do so. Misty, what is the deadline for submitting testimony for tomorrow? What is the time?
Al, can you help me out with that one?
There's no deadline. They submit anytime.
Okay, perfect. And so if Ms. Rosabo would like to write her testimony and submit it to public testimony at newhavenct.gov, she has that opportunity, and I'm sorry to hear she lost power. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on behalf of the item before us?
Oh, Mr. Carano. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Carano.
I just want to take 1 minute to mention the fact that 2 years ago, a documentary was made called The Village Life in New Haven's Little Italy. It was made to be presented to the
Did we lose you?
No, he muted himself.
Oh, Mr. Carano, you're muted.
I'm trying to.
There you go. You're good.
Okay. So you didn't hear anything I said?
We did. We heard the up to the village.
Okay. So the Village Life in New Haven, Little Italy documentary, which really tells the story that we're trying to convey to you tonight through this testimony. I would really encourage you, it's streaming online. If you have an opportunity, the documentary has been shown throughout the greater New Haven area to about 3,000 people. But the story that's told in the film is what I think all of us who have spoken tonight are trying to convey to you. And I would really encourage you, if you have some time, it's an hour long. If you take the time to look at it, I think you would better appreciate what it is we're trying to convey to you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And my mom is in there in that video.
Yes,
so,
she is.
So look for my mom and look for my sister. They didn't want me on camera for some reason, but anyway. Again, you know, there's a lot of history in this city with the Italian immigrants. And if you do have the opportunity to see that documentary, please do so. And I'm going to give my son a little plug. He's a rising senior at Wilbercross High School. And during his junior year, he did a website for History Day, which got 3rd place in states. He was the only Wilbercross High School student to place in states. So yes, I am very proud. But the topic was one that he chose based on a book that I have here at home. And it was a topic that his title is Italian Immigrant Women Weaving Their Way into the Multicultural Society in Connecticut. And it's actually a beautiful piece that had me in tears because he had interviewed my mom a few years earlier. He had to do in third grade an immigrant project, and he interviewed my mom, and he took a snippet of the recording he did and put it in this website. If I could share with everyone, I would. I'm not sure he would allow me to, but anyway, kudos to my son Gabriele Festa for getting third place on a topic that was obviously dear to him. I did not have anything to do with it. So with that being said, I will turn it back over to the public. If there is anyone else from the public that would like to speak, I see a hand up, Mr. Bill Ayavani. The floor is yours. Unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Anna. You can hear me, correct?
Yes.
I thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you today, and I thank you for bringing to the Board of Alders. I sit today in strong support of recognizing the second Monday in October as Italian Heritage Day. For as long as I can remember, what was known as Columbus Day was a day Italian Americans celebrated our proud heritage through dinners, parades, musical and other cultural events that brought family and friends and the community together. Many of these events happened in Worcester Square Park during and at the conclusion of the annual parade. As a student at St. Michael Catholic School, I marched in the parade every year and even danced the tarantella with my classmates on a stage set in the park with a statue as a backdrop. Yes, Anna, I danced. I vividly remember everyone, not just Italians, wearing green, white, and red hats, clothes, and waving Italian flags, enjoying the music, food, and most importantly, the friendships. As I grew older and joined my family in operating Iavani Funeral Home, which is in Worcester Square, I've had the privilege to sit and listen to many people, all of whom told a similar story. They came to America from Italy with their parents, settled in New Haven with hopes and dreams of a better life. They worked hard, provided for their families, and were deep in their faith. Families, some with 8 or more children, lived in cold water flats, slept 2 or 3 to a bed, handed down their clothes to younger siblings, and ate their meals in shifts. They played outside with holes in their shoes. They didn't know they were poor because they were happy and they were proud. Listening to their stories made me proud to be Italian. The commission will hear many stories just like this. Stories of hard work that led to success, family helping families, and proud traditions passed on through the years. We're not asking for anything other than what we've been celebrating for generations. The second Monday of October has been and should continue to be a day for all to celebrate Italian heritage. Again, I thank this committee for the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to a very positive end to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Iavani. I appreciate your sentiments, and I look forward to dancing the tarantella on Worcester Square with you and many others. Hopefully soon, where we could all get out and celebrate. At this moment, I will ask if there is any other people from the public that would like to speak in regard to the item before us. Okay, and before I continue, I don't see any hands up, but I will open it up to my committee members at this point before we close the public portion. If the committee has any questions for the testifiers while they're still on, this might be a good opportunity to ask. Committee members, just raise your hand if Okay, seeing none, I will once again go to the public. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? For the second time, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on the item before us? And for the third time, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on the item before us?
I move to
Seeing-
close the public portion.
Second,
Second.
Okay, the public portion has been moved and seconded. All in favor of closing the public portion, please say
Aye.
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 any nays? Any opposition? Okay, the public portion has been closed. And I do appreciate the testimony from the public. At this time, I would like to move the item. Is there anyone that would like to move the item? Or is there any discussion from our committee? Do you have any words that you would like to share?
Well, I'll move the item.
Second.
Second.
Okay, the item has been moved and seconded. Everyone in favor, I will just call you by name just to make sure.
Well,
Are you in favor, Vice Chair DeCola?
are we gonna have discussion?
Yeah, are we moving it first?
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, yes, sorry.
Are you in favor of moving it? Yes, okay. Alder Antunes in favor of moving.
Yes.
Alder Raw,
Yes.
Alder Winter.
Excuse me, Chair, are we voting on the item?
We will be after our discussion. Right now, we're just moving the item.
Okay,
She's moving to close the public portion. Is what
Oh,
we're
sorry.
doing.
Thank you, Al, for that clarification.
I'm a yes then. Thank you. Thank you, Al.
Okay, and Alder Singh,
Yes.
Alder Smith.
Yes.
Okay, everyone is in favor of closing the public portion. Thank you. At this point, I will open it up to the committee members for discussion. And it's probably easiest to raise your hand. So if there's any comments from our committee, do I see your hand, Alder Cola?
Yes,
Okay, the floor is yours.
thank you so much. I am honored to be a second generation Italian. I'm honored that the people that spoke tonight for our heritage brings great joy to me. The sacrifices that the Italians made to this country to bring it with many other groups of immigrants. We all made this country great. It wasn't just one group, but to make the second Monday of October Italian Heritage Day shows that this city and our heritage, we're moving forward to how we will view the history of the past and to bring it to the fore of the country, to the front of the country, that we can move forward and still keep our heritage. The reason why a lot of things started was because certain ethnic groups were always persecuted. It goes from the Black and brown community to the Jewish, to the Germans. Everybody that came to this country somehow ended on this bottom step. And it wasn't right. My grandfather gave me stories. A lot of it started back when in New Orleans in 1891, when 12 Sicilians were hanged because they were supposedly the ones that murdered the police chief of that town. And that brought fear to many Italians and many other cities, especially the Northeast, where a lot of Italian immigrants came. And that was one way that in New Haven, why Columbus was chosen, with the knowledge of education back then was different. Now we know different now, but Columbus was chosen because of the navigator, because most immigrants came over by boat, and that's how Columbus came. So and he was from Italy. But, you know, now we're here. There was the Triangle Fire in Brooklyn, New York, where many Italian women and children died. We had the Franklin Street fire that Congresswoman Rose and Delora talked about, where that was mothers, daughters, cousins, everybody. And the Italian people in New Haven have suffered a lot. And I'm going to say this, I was not happy with the Board of Education changing our day to Indigenous Day without giving us a chance to speak, to be on the floor, to have open communication. To strip us of our day was disrespectful. I am still upset about that, but that's my fight and my anger. I am proud to be an Italian, and I'm proud that I'm voting yes on this, and it shows our city that can go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder DeCola. Before we actually proceed, we need to move the item. We have not moved it before discussion, but I respect your discussion as part of what will officially be discussion. So if I can have someone move the item.
I move the resolution, the item.
Yes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, the item has been moved and seconded. Everyone in favor of moving the item, Alder DeCola?
Need to vote yet, Madam Chair.
Okay, sorry.
You'll vote after everybody's discussed. Then you can.
At this point, we will discuss. So Alder DeCola, thank you. You already discussed it, and I appreciate it. Is there anyone else from the board that would like to discuss this item? Please raise your hand. On your device, I see Alder Winter followed by Alder Roth. Go ahead, Alder Winter, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate the sentiments that came up tonight. And I think that it is valuable to continue to honor Italian Americans' contributions to our community, and that this is a sound way of doing it. At the same time, I don't want to, like Congresswoman Doar, I don't want to detract from the movement for Indigenous Peoples Day and for recognition of the huge history there and the contributions there. And I think it's important that we keep that in mind if we're moving forward with this item, that there's still work to be done there. And yeah, I think that it's an important thing. Both things are important things, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. And that I think in like the wonderful multicultural city we live in, that it is important that we're able to honor all of our cultures. So I just wanted to note that. And yeah, I think in the conversation that's going on right now about race and about whiteness, I think that I myself, as a Jewish person who can pass as white, I'm afforded a lot of privileges as Jews, like Italians have been able to assimilate. And I think that as we're thinking about these issues of race and privilege, it's important to acknowledge those dynamics as well. But having noted those things, I think that there's an incredible history here, and that it's so important that we acknowledge all of the sacrifices, I think an incredible thing is all of the civil society. It's amazing to hear about all of the different organizations that have been built up over the years. And then all of the contributions to our city, to the whole state, and to the country. So I think it's important to move ahead with this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alder Winter. Alder Raw.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate everything for all the speakers who spoke tonight, and I learned a lot from listening to them, and I am in support of this. I think as my colleague from Ward 21 just said, we have such a diverse city, and that's what makes this city great. And I think it's wonderful to clearly, the Italian heritage of this city is a really strong part. And so I think to celebrate it, to learn about it, and to learn about all the cultures is so important. I know I have a lot to learn about many, many cultures. And so again, I want to thank everyone and who spoke tonight, and I support this.
Thank you, Alder Raw. Alder Antunes, I saw your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hate to put the technical part in it, but my question comes in is this holiday going to replace Columbus Day? If this holiday does replace Columbus Day, of course, we should word it that way. But most of all, since Columbus Day was a national holiday and all of our labor agreements say that people will have Columbus Day off, is that going to be addressed?
Thank you for that, Alder Antunes. You are correct. Columbus Day is a federal holiday. We cannot change that without the actual government being involved outside of us. This is a municipal thing. We are dedicating that day here in New Haven alone, as Italian Heritage Day. As far as making it a state or federal law, those are the next steps, I suppose. But right now, this resolution is not to change what is on the calendar, but to change in New Haven that it is to be recognized as Italian Heritage Day. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, because it is important to address. Are there any other of my colleagues that would like to speak on behalf of this item?
When the new contracts come up in the city, it'll be worded Italian Heritage Day. So we have it corrected in the contracts.
Great, thank you for that comment. Colleagues, any other comments from the team here? Please raise your hand if you're wanting to discuss this item. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. I do want to recognize that other testimony has been submitted. I'm not going to read them all, but I will mention that we have received written testimony from Jacqueline DeCola, who is in favor of this. Francis A. Calzetta, also in favor. Vanessa Pimenco Danino, also in favor. Mary Ellen Villano in favor. Luis Gravani in favor. Madeline Dart in favor. T. Santora was in favor of keeping it as Columbus Day, so that one. Eileen Waldman is in favor. Michelle Shiopo in favor. Deborah Johnson in favor. Anne-Marie Fiondella in favor. Peter Desio in favor. Gerard DeNegra in favor. David DiMartino in favor. Carmela Amore Blackman in favor. William and Antoinette Laval in favor, as well as Edward Flynn also in favor. So those, for the record, have been submitted as testimony. I just have obviously a few words to say. This for me is somewhat emotional because I am the daughter of Italian immigrants who came to this country with a suitcase full of dreams to live out that American dream that they heard about in post-World War II, post-fascism, arriving in this country with only memories of their native country, Italia. My Zia Concetta, Connie, as they knew her in Oklahoma, was a war bride. She married an American soldier of Italian descent. When she heard about America and all the opportunities, she literally thought the roads were paved in gold, as so many Italian immigrants thought as well. They worked hard. they experienced discrimination. They were called WAPs, which means without papers. And that's if they came with or without papers, they were called WAPs. They were called Dagos.
The chair has frozen for a second. Hopefully her connection will restore. All right, he's gonna call back in. It looks like so. Mr. Vice Chair, if there's anyone else that you want to call on while we wait for her to return, feel free to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. I don't see any other hands. No other colleague would like to speak on this. I don't see anything, Mr. Lucas, or Missy Maza. How much longer should we wait for our?
Just give it a couple of minutes here while she tries to call back in.
Second, I don't know what happened. And my kids are saying that they weren't. Okay, I'll be on in 2 minutes, in 1 minute.
Okay, I'll let them know.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, she says she is reconnecting and should be on in 1 minute.
Sorry about that. We lost Wi-Fi in the house and I had to get on data. 2020 can't get any better. Anyway, I'll pick up where I left off, but I'll go back to my aunt who married an American soldier of Italian descent who thought the roads were paved in gold. And There were many immigrants who looked for this dream, this opportunity, this American dream. And their main goal was to succeed in their new home, to prove to everyone that they too could be American. They brought culture, food, wine, and their pride and integrity to show that they too could succeed under strenuous circumstances. And you know what? They succeeded. They weren't millionaires, but they supported their families through hard work by providing the everyday essentials. Growing up, I didn't have everything, but yet I had everything. I had family, a roof over my head, two hardworking parents, and we didn't know any different. Honestly, I don't know how they did it all, and they lived the American dream. It would be an understatement to say that I am, not a proud Italian American. My full given name is Anna Maria Saracco in Festa. I was brought up with Italian traditions and pride. I went to St. Michael's School, not even knowing the English language, because we were brought up speaking Italian in the household. And thank God for Sister Lodovica, God rest her soul, because she was from Italy too and guided myself and my siblings with homework and learning the alphabet in English. While most Italians who came to this country were trying to become more Americanized by dropping their native language, changing their names, and trying their best to fit into this new world called America, my dad, Raimondo Saracco, was relentless. He refused to let go of his birth country traditions. He continued speaking Italian, more like Southern dialect, but nonetheless Italian. He continued making homemade wine and grappa, and to this day, many of those traditions continue in my household and in my siblings' households and in my cousins' households. When he passed away over 20 years ago, I vowed to keep those traditions going. My mom, Ermelinda Di Paola Saracco, who is 86 years old, still makes homemade pasta, homemade bread, jars tomato sauce every September, le conserve, for the winter months, and prepared meals that were at that time considered peasant food, and today are now appetizers and entrees in fancy restaurants. Pane cotto, pasta fagioli, also known as pasta fazool, and so many more. She maintained a garden and worked full time. And these traditions are still in full force in my household. We still jar tomatoes every September, make homemade pasta and bread, enjoy a garden with fresh vegetables and herbs, and hopefully my three sons will continue some of these traditions. And above all of this, our faith in God is what carried my parents and these immigrants forward. St. Michael's Church was an integral part in the immigration, in the foundation of the immigrants, as were the Southern religious societies. They helped find homes and jobs for the immigrants. And it was a stable community where the Italian immigrants trusted them. Italians are an integral part of this country. Their contributions to this country are recognized worldwide, from inventors to politicians to architects, sports and entertainment, and so much more. Does Joe DiMaggio, Rocky Marciano, Lawrence Yogi, Peter Bear, Jimmy Durante, companies like Tropicana, the Zamboni, political figures, Nancy Pelosi, our very own Rosa DeLaura, the contributions are endless. New Haven County has the largest percentage of Italians in the country. These contributions should be honored by making the second Monday in October Italian Heritage Day in the city of New Haven. And I truly encourage my colleagues to support this resolution. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Call the question.
I'm sorry, what was that, Alder Influence?
Call the question. We call for a vote.
Okay. All in favor of this resolution declaring the second Monday in October Italian Heritage Day, please say aye, and I will call your name for the vote. Vice Chair DeCola,
Aye.
Alder Antunes,
Aye.
Alder Roth,
Yes.
Alder Winter,
Aye.
Alder Singh,
Aye.
Alder Smith,
Aye.
and I always forget to vote. So yes, I am in favor as well of this resolution. Any nays? Abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries. The resolution moves forward to the full board. I want to thank you all for your time. Alder Antunes, I hope you get power back as soon as possible. And I'm wishing everyone a safe evening and a safe 2020, but I will see you guys soon, I hope. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. We are adjourned. Stay safe, everyone, and thank you to the testifiers. I appreciate you taking your time.
Let's
Good
vote
night,
on it.
everyone. What's that?
You didn't vote on it.
I did.
No, we got to say all aye to adjourn.
I did, didn't I? I always do this, don't I? See, I don't want to adjourn. I don't want to leave you. Everyone in favor of adjournment, say aye. DeCola,
Aye.
Antunes,
Aye.
Roth,
Yes.
Winter,
Aye.
Singh,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Festa. Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Ciao.
Safe.
Arrivederci. Buonasera.
Hope your internet comes back.
I know. My kids want it back, not me.
Mine too.
Ciao, everybody.
Ciao.
That was it that.